Hi everybody, it's Dr. Nichols-Boyle and welcome to Wix. So for this video, I'm going to show you how to set up your Wix account, get your template chosen, and set up your home page with at least the basic elements. Your header, which has your name in it and an image, and your rough bio should be on your home page as well. Your kind of about me way of drawing in the reader, at least for most people. So that's how I'm going to have you set it up. You're going to choose your main fonts and colors. Again, a lot of this might change later, but this at least gets you kind of used to it. And then we'll start planning out more of the other pages, what goes into it, how we're going to address your particular audience. So I'm going to first start with those elements, and then I'll take you through some of the main tools with Wix and how you can work with those later. I'll have another video for some of the more advanced things like how to insert documents and buttons and galleries in the future. But I will go over some of those main tools. If you feel like you have a pretty good handle on it once you've seen the best way to set it up, then you can stop. I'll let you know, okay, this is all you need to know for the first assignment, and you can watch the rest later if you want. It's also following along with the Introduction to Wix instructions, the typed copy that I put up in the module as well. So you can print that off and follow along if you want to, or just have that nearby so you can see which steps I'm going through. And again, if you're more tech savvy, you might not need this at all, but I want to make sure that I give you the tools you need to be successful here. So I think this is a pretty user-friendly type of site and platform. But again, everything has some glitches, so it might take a little bit of getting used to. And again, though it is free. So we're going to use the free version, don't have to worry about the premium plan or anything like that. So here we go. This is Wix. And once you get to Wix.com, you're just going to want to do the basic thing, which is click Get Started. And from here, you'll type in your email address. It can be any email address you want. This doesn't show up. So whatever you think you check most frequently, it can be a personal one instead of your IOSB one if you want. So here's your email, password, and then you click sign up. Try not to choose going with Facebook or Google. One, for privacy reasons, you may not want that linked. And also because sometimes signing up that way can limit functionality for some people. So once you've signed up, you're going to get taken to your dashboard. And I just have mine pulled up here already. Yours might not have sites already, but it will look something like this. And then you'll go to Create New Site. So you're going to create new site, and it'll ask you what kind of website do you want to create. You can choose any of these here because you'll be able to, again, search within different categories once you get to the template section. But it might be a good idea to start with a portfolio and CV for most of you, as most of you are creating just a personal website for the job market. So we'll go portfolio and CV. And you don't want them to create one for you. You want to create it yourself. So you're going to go to choose a template here. And then here are some of your options. And you can flip through these, kind of view them, play around with them a little bit, see if it's what you like before you choose. And as I mentioned in the instructions, once you do choose and decide to start editing that site and putting in your information, it's very difficult to change to a new template. Wix doesn't save it in the same way that Google Sites or some other programs do, where your information will just get, or Blogger, get ported over into a new format. You have to redo it completely in a new template. So you want to make sure that you're really thinking about it before you choose your template. And we're just putting in some basic information today, so you could still change, but take your time here and look through it. So if you're very tech savvy, you might even start with a blank template, and you can just kind of create it from the ground up. But for most of you, you're going to want to choose one of these templates and then just edit it with your own information. You can add pages, take them away, put in different text boxes, but you want to kind of have to do as little of that as possible. So try to choose one that you think generally would work. If you don't like any of these, you can always go over here and search different sections. You can type in here to search all templates. You can go to new templates are most popular, and so on. One thing I would recommend, I said here, is to try to not choose one where it's all one page. So I'll give you an idea of that here. This is one that's all one page. It may look like it has different sections when you look at it here. So you hit view to see it, and then you're going to go view full demo to kind of play around with it and see all the pages before you choose whether to edit or not. So if you view the full demo here, what you can see is it looks like there's different sections up here and different pages. but each one of those is just going to take you to a different section of the page. So this uses strips is what it's called. And for some people, you might think, well, that I like that look, and the person just scrolls through. They can just scroll through, or they can use the things above to get to each section. But this is really hard to edit. So once you get into one of these things like this, if you decide, well, I don't really have a gallery section, so I want to get rid of that. It's much harder to get rid of these things and adjust than it is with something that has set pages. So I would recommend against a site that scrolls all the way down like this. And you can look at the mobile version too. But I'll show you one then that I think works better to give you an idea of the difference. So here's one, this one's just called Curriculum Vitae, that a lot of students have used in the past. It's very simple, easy to work with if you don't have a lot of experience. Although again, you can choose whatever you want. So we'll try this one here. Again, you would hit View and then View Full Demo to get a better idea of the whole thing. And you can see here, I can't scroll down. Each one of these is separate pages. It has some buttons here that take them to some similar areas. But you can go through each of the pages and see resume. This is what it looks like. It has it set up pretty well here for you. Different projects you could show, and a contact page. Again, you can add more pages if you want. If it has too many pages on other sites, you'll have to have at least 4. So this would be a good start. You could take some away. You can change the colors. You can change the font and all of those kinds of things. But this basic layout seems to work pretty well. I don't like the hello a bit about me. I think it's a little generic, so I would change something like that. But there's other things that I do like about it and things that you can change. And it doesn't have to be a personal photo here. You can play around with this. I probably wouldn't give my home phone number, take that part out, but basically this works well. So that's the kind of thing that you want to see. And then once you're ready to go, you can see what it looks like on the mobile side as well. You can edit that differently. Then they put resume. It's resume with the dashes over the E, the accents over the E's. So I'll show you how to change that as well, but this is a good start. So then you would hit edit this site. And then you'll get into your editing function and be able to start changing things. All right, and then this gives you the idea here. Creative Professional, the editor offers intuitive features. You can start this to kind of get an overview if you want, but I'm not going to right now. And you can see all these fun little pages. Once you start playing around with things, it'll change to just these basics like this. And you can hover over each one to see the different sections. So I'm going to go to one I've already set up. And it also has this nice toolbar here on the side that allows you to work with some of the basic functions as well. Okay, so I'm going to go to one that I have already created and played around with to show you some of the other features. So what you will need to do before, so I'll just give you an idea. What you'll need to do here for your first assignment is to put in your header, and usually I suggest something underneath this depending on the audience you're aiming at. If you're not sure yet, you can change that later. But your full name and then something about you. So mine would say maybe English professor. Yours might say future teacher or future marketing professional or just marketing professional, whatever it is that you're going for there. And again, that shows up on every page so that it helps brand it. Then you want to choose sometimes maybe an image or something to put either on the home page or in the header that repeats. And then you will want to put in your rough draft of your about me, your bio here too. So that's what I suggest for your home page. And some people will have something a little different, maybe a quote or some information on their homepage and then put the bio on a separate page. But in general, that's the kind of structure that we would be using. So I'll go into this here to show you the different things and how to work with this. A couple other things I talked about here. Once you start editing, remember that you want to save frequently. If you want to get back into your editing feature, from your dashboard, after you sign out, you would hit select and edit site there. And then from your site itself, under site actions, you click edit site, and then you get to the same place I am here. All right, so you want to make sure you save frequently. And this has autosave on, which is good. It may not save as frequently as you want, so if you're kind of worried you just did something big and you want to make sure it's saved, hit that. You can preview from here too, so if you hit the preview, you'll see what it looks like to other people, and you'll be able to kind of check your different sections, to bio, etc. And then you can hit back to editor to get back to your editor part. And nothing will show or be live until you hit publish. So you can see it in your editor thing, but you won't be able to share it with me. Well, you can through feedback, but nobody else will be able to see it but you until you publish. Okay, so those are some things to keep in mind. So the header, again, it should include your name, or if you're doing a client, a company name to help brand you. It appears on every page, and it can include a short descriptor. So if you want to play around with the header they already have, you will just need to click into wherever you want to change it, and then you hit Edit Text. And then you can start typing in your text and play with your fonts. So your fonts will all be here. Again, try to avoid ones that are overly stylized that get harder to read, or too skinny, because then again, that is also harder to read. So try to stick with some of the earlier ones, or some of the more basic fonts, especially for something like a header in your main text. Okay, so that's the heading. I have this customized how my spacing wants, so you can do automatic. Vertical text. We're not going to do SEO right now. So those are some of the basic things there. But what you really want to work on is your font size and what kind of font that you're choosing here. And then, of course, the color. So I have the font size about 59 here, so it's pretty good size. Here's my font choice. And then the color, I would just choose the color here. It will give you some basic ones within the, and you can see what the different look like. Within the template that you've chosen, it kind of has a template of your colors, a theme. But if you want other colors, you can always say add color here or add here. So you can add color, and then you could just play around with this until you find the color that you want, and then add that. So you're not limited to just the ones within your theme. And I'll put up maybe something about hex codes, because those are, if you have that, you can just type that in and not even have to look for the one you want. Okay, so that's your color picker and all of those. Say I want to put something under here. I want to put, say, English professor, but I don't want it to be so big, right? I want it to be smaller than the rest. So I can then change the font size here, and I actually did this before, so it's going to already give me too much of that. You can see it's a learning process. Some of this is like, well, I hate, look, it's way too big. I don't like that. There's too much spacing here. Well, you can play around with those kinds of things. So for one, I can already see that it looks a little clunky now that it's centered. So I'd like the English professor to be under it. I would change the alignment here to go to the left. So everything's now to the left. You can move this over a little bit. You can move this over a little bit. But I try to just backspace to make this smaller. You can see it's not really working. And then I front space and I do that. We hit return here. It's going to the same place. It's too far away. Now, so that's because of the spacing. So you have to play around. So here's character and line spacing here. It has like one between them. And because this is so big, that one becomes bigger. So I need to make this smaller. I can keep going until I kind of get it where I want. All right, maybe about there. 5, 6. I can see if I can make it any closer to it. All right, make sure that when I'm up here, get out of that section, that it is actually up. See, I also want to make this, can I put this up here, make this smaller too. That might give me a little bit more room. I'm not sure. And then again, it's hard to tell until you actually see it. Up there. Until you actually see it. So if you hit preview here, okay, that's not as far apart as I thought. That's not so bad. But I don't love that spacing, so I might go back to the editor and play around with it some more. So it's just trying to figure out what will work for the idea here. I have to go back to edit text. You can't just click on it. All right, so you get the idea of how you would work with this. It doesn't want to do it at all. There we go. Okay. And you play around with it until you get it pretty much where you want it. And again, character and line spacing will allow me to make this to where I want. Okay, there we go. So I think about 0.6, and now it's a little bit close to that, so maybe I move that down. a little bit. And let's try that. All right, I'm much happier with that. You can see in my preview, it looked like it was directly underneath, right? But in my editor, but in my preview, it shows that the spacing is off. Sometimes this happens, and there's ways to fix this in the coding, but you can just kind of play around. So, all right, that's not what I wanted. Let me go back into edit text, and it says it's there, so I'm just gonna have to add some extra spaces here. Now let's see what happens if I do that. That looks pretty good. Again, edit text. I'm going to push that over just a little bit more. And now it's roughly where I want it. So you can keep playing, but you get the idea. All right. So again, so I would hit preview here pretty much, and then I would save to make sure that that is how I want it. And you don't have to publish it now. So that's the header part. Back to editor. And when you want to share something too, I put this in here. You can go to Site and you can go to Get Feedback. If you want to share it with me and you don't want to publish it yet because you don't want it out there, although it's going to be hard to find without the SEO, then you can go ahead and copy this link and that's the link that you can give to me in the assignment so that I can look at it, and then I can add comments directly into the site. So that's a great way to do it. If you want to give me the actual site name and you've already published it, you can find that in your dashboard here. So this is your name of your site underneath here. Do not give me this site name. This is your editing one. This does not give me anything. Okay, so that's one. The other thing is the images. So you can add an image here, and you can do that by, if there's already an image, you can click on it to change it, and you hit change image, and you can upload the media to your site. If you already have one here, so I could upload from my computer. Let's see, I'll choose this picture, whatever this is, and it's coming. Then I could choose that, or I could choose this, whatever I wanted. And once you choose that image, it will appear in the in it instead. And then you can change the image. You can go into the settings here. You can go to design to change the different frames, however you want. You can crop it, and you can add a filter. It'll show you how those look. I would not recommend animation. You can always link it to something. We don't need to do that here. And then for your bio, and this one, it has kind of this book template thing. But for your bio, you could get rid of these, or if it was more of yours, then you would just go to the bio page and just kind of change the text there again, click in the text, change it, and start writing it and how you want. So that leads to the question of, how do you even get to another page? So I've saved this, I previewed it, I've done those kinds of things. This is the sections where you want to do everything. So if you are okay with, you figure out how you do most of the things for this, you can stop now, but I want to show you these main areas as well. So this kind of covers, I've already covered what you need to do for your first assignment. Then this is the different ways to customize your site and work on here. So menus and pages takes you to the different pages. So you can't just click, if I try to click on this here, nothing happens. It just is asking me to change the menu. So in order to get to the different pages, you have to click on menu. It's a little awkward, but this is what it is. And you click on that page and it gets there. And if I want to go to the more about me, then it gets there too. Okay, so then I would go in here, edit text. If you're like, I can't get in there, you have to edit text first and then play around with it. Let's say that you wanted to add an extra image or something here. Then you go to add, and this is what you would do. This is where you add image. You can go to ones that you've uploaded, or you can go to the free Wix one, or the stock images. Stock images you have to buy. Wix's ones are all free. So for Wix, you can choose any of these here. You can search by category, or you can search for something specific. So if I go to all categories here, maybe I want technology, and because I want this is representing something like that. You can even here search by orientation, whether it's horizontal or vertical, or what kind of colors it has, all those kinds of things. So maybe I want, oh, I like this laptop plant one. Then you add that to the page. And then again, you can drag it where you want. These grid lines start showing up, so it shows you how you can align things with like the text. So I want to make sure that aligns with the text, say. And then I can drag it to make it smaller or bigger. And again, then you have all these different settings and design features here to change the different frames and so on. Okay, and anytime you don't like something, you just right click and delete. So that's pretty easy. And you also have your undo and redo buttons here. So let's go through these one by one. So we know how to get to the menus and pages from here. This is also where if you don't like a page, you could delete it or rearrange it, the order. So you just kind of put right click and drag it wherever you want. You drag underneath something, it becomes a sub page. If you just drag it to the side, then it becomes a regular page. All right, so let me back up here. I did it too far. Okay, there we go. And if you want to change anything here, you hit this extra one. We'll talk about the SEO later. You can rename it here. You can duplicate or you can delete. Or you can create a subpage. So that gives you some of those features. The next one is your background. So this is going to be important, your colors and fonts for this first page as well. Your fonts you will just change by going into each of them. But the background, this is what it should look like for everyone in the preview. And these grid lines are important here because it looks like you have all this space, but things that appear outside of these main grid lines are not going to show up in the mobile data, on a mobile view, and probably not in a desktop one either. So you want to stay within those main grid lines. So the backgrounds, to choose the color, you choose here. Again, it has the themed colors, or you can add a color as well, and it will show you what each of those look like and where it's applying to as well. Okay, so that's the color. I would avoid these animated backgrounds. It gets really distracting if you're trying to view a page, the ones with a video. So be a little careful about that, and you don't want it to be too distracting. You want it to be consistent. The colors show up well of the font against the background. Like this isn't a great hover color. It's kind of blending in. I would change that. And you want it to be consistent across your pages so you don't have a crazy background for each one. All those kinds of things we've learned about. Again, you can put an image in as a background, but that can be an issue as well. So I would stick with probably just the colors for now. And then you can apply to other pages if you want. All right. And as you might notice here, it didn't affect the main thing, but this is the overall background one as well. So we have then the add one, and this is where if you wanted to add a text box, you would probably do paragraphs in that case. You do that, and you click on it, adds a text box, you can drag it to wherever you want, and so on. Your images, I already talked about a button. We'll go into this in more detail later. Don't worry as much about what it says because you can change that, but what style you like, and you can change the color as well. And they have different icon buttons, things that you could do for showing it's a document or something too. Although you can also just choose one of these. It might be a little bit classier to choose one of these and then write the name of the document or whatever. The galleries, so these are if you want to show pictures, it has a whole bunch of different formats for that, and you would just change the pictures. If you want to have any text with it to describe it, I highly recommend the slide deck one because it gives you a little bit more to add a title and some description. That's a nice one for that particularly. And also this animated slide one as well. So both of those are good. And then those are some of the main things. A strip if you had that one, but we're not going to do that for the most part. An extra menu if you need to, if it's a long page or you don't like the menu that they chose. Social media buttons. You can add a bar with all the social media. You can take out the ones you don't use and adjust that as well. Or you can just add, just the Facebook or just the Twitter, etc. Contact and forms. If it doesn't have a contact form and you want to add one, you can do that here as well. And it does things like payments and etc., but we're not going to go into those. They're stores, but for now we're just going to stay to those main ones. The apps page, I think generally ignore. We're not going to get into that, although there could be some things that work with that in the future. Media, this is a good idea if you have a lot of documents or images that you think you might want to use of your own, and you're linking to like your resume, you want to link to a printable resume, for example, or you're showing off your own artwork or images. I would upload those here, and you just hit the upload button and upload things, and then you can decide where you want to use them. If you want to start a blog, if you don't have one already, this could be good here. Embedding a blog kind of messes up the spacing. If you're going to start one, you want to at least be able to do a couple entries. And then again, this advanced one we might get into a little bit more later. This is the marketing and SEO business tools. But for now, we're not going to play around with that too much. A lot of these things at the top have the same features as here: cite, save, preview, get feedback, as I mentioned. And then there's more things that they try to make you pay for the most part here, and as well with those. The only other real feature that you would need is the help. You can search the editor, which would lead you to a search button there, or if you go to the editor help center, it gives you some basic ones here, or you can type in your question. And then the last one is the step-by-step videos, which can be really helpful if you're a more visual learner for some of the major things here. It doesn't have everything, but those are some real helps. Okay, so that's it. I hope that that helps you. I know it's going to be a learning process. You kind of just have to get in there and start working with it. But I think you should be able to do at least the basics now. And good luck. I'm looking forward to seeing it. Be creative. Have fun with it.